Hello mentors, let me give you a quick overview of the Edvance360 site that I set up for the online teaching certification practicum. Here we are in the main first page that you see in the Edvance site. Just so to orient you, along the top here, these buttons are global buttons, meaning that as a student, these would take you to your overall calendar for all of your classes. This is your blog. These are the contacts you put in. This is all your grades, your mailbox, etc. This is how you get to all your different courses. So that's the global buttons up top. Along the side are the buttons or navigation areas for the individual course, in this case the OTC Practicum course that I set up. Now, just a little bit more on this first page here. Up at the top, this is where students will see any sort of alerts or announcements. They're basically announcements, but they still call them alerts sometimes. And once a student has read an announcement, they can mark it as read just to get it out of their way. They can always go back to it here by going to the announcements area. The instructor's profile is here, about the course, a brief description of the course is here. They have links to their syllabus and any other information related to the syllabus and the course the instructor can post here. I've also turned on the RSS feed down here and linked a few things in. I actually linked in the @1 RSS feed just to show what an RSS feed looks like if you embed it on the home page. I also have my Twitter feed coming in, my Instructor Bab Twitter feed, just to give you an idea. What I haven't used this yet, but my plan to use this in the classes is this will be an easy place where I can post any articles, any websites, anything like that that I find while I'm just surfing the web and looking for stuff for class. I can post it in there, and this can be a spot where students can grab an article and comment. You know, if I have them do like a topical type discussion where, you know, find an article and tell me how it relates to the class, this will be an area where I throw in a lot of those kind of articles for students to find, basically kind of help them out in that regard. So anyways, that's that. And then also here is where you see the list of students. Right now this class only has me and a couple faculty temporary and a student temporary, and so this just lists the course roster. Now the other areas that you'll want to look at in order to see what I've done to demonstrate the different standards. In the lessons area, this is the main area you're going to want to go to. I've set it up. I made a few changes since the last time you were in here. What I did was I went through and I put each of the standards that I need to demonstrate competency in. I put them all in here, and when you open up each of these standards, what I did was I put at the top, I put the standard C, and then, you know, what the standard states. Then I put the next item that I put in there was what I had written in my self-assessment, and then the next thing was the mentor review, the comments that Dr. Henney gave me on that particular standard, and then any suggestions she made for that particular standard. There'll be one or more things below that I have included to help demonstrate that I've made some changes, made some improvements to that particular standard, or added more stuff basically to demonstrate that I know what I'm doing for that standard. So that's how each of these standards will look. So you'll want to kind of go through each of those and look. The rest of these down here are just from the first unit of my Bio 35 Human Physiology course. These are just these are just lessons that I set up for my Bio 35 students so that you guys can go in and look at it and just get an idea of all of these different lessons that I set up. Like this is the one I use to welcome them to the class. This introduction to phys corresponds to chapter 1 in the book. This corresponds to chapter 2, the chemistry one. Cellular phys is chapter 3. At that point they start doing labs. This is basically the cellular phys lab that they do. Then there's a metabolism chapter, and then muscle physiology, and then the muscle physiology lab. Then they do their Unit 1 exams. So actually these down here, the neurophys and the other neurobiology units or lessons down here are actually part of Unit 2. So I misspoke a minute ago. There are actually a little bit of Unit 2 material in here as well. So you can look at those. Some of them I've gone in and made some adjustments to based on the recommendations of Dr. Henney. But most of those I didn't need to really make any major changes to, because they were okay when we did our artifact review. So that's one of the main areas you're going to want to go to. The other areas over here, Mastering A&P, that's just a link I put on there to go over to Mastering A&P, the tutorial website that the publisher Pearson puts out. That's where the students do almost all of their homework assignments, their labs. There's a couple of videos or screencasts that I put in here as part of some of these standards that demonstrate what mastering looks like and how it works, and gives you guys an idea of how that how I use that site. Piazza, this is a question and answer site that I use. Dr. Henney has had access to it and has looked around in there, and there's 1 or 2 videos or screencasts that I put in helping to explain how I use that site as well. It's a replacement for the discussion board. Resources, this area is just it looks like this. It's basically anything that I post, such as PowerPoints or handouts or videos or whatever, are able to be accessed in here by the students. If they don't want to access them strictly through the lessons, they can also go to the resources area and find them in there as well. And so you guys will be able to look at that as well. The tests area, I explained this in one of the other screencasts, so I won't spend much time on this, but this is basically where I as an instructor go in and set up new homework assignments, quizzes, exams, any sort of assessments that the students take. This is where I create them, and this is where they're listed. On the student view, it looks a little bit different. They see the actual assignments that are still active. Agents, this is another area that I explained in one of the other screencasts, talking about how I can set Edvance up to automatically track how students are doing on certain assignments. And then the rest of these start and end dates is just it's just an easy place to go where I can at the start of a new semester, you can go in and change the start date and due date for any of the lessons, any tests that you've set up. You can go in and quickly change the dates, any drop boxes or surveys, which I don't really use those. So, and then reports are, just like it says, it's a way in which you can go in and see how students are, time taken on tests, time taken on lessons, participation, course logins, usage data, all that kind of stuff. And you can look at all users or pick, individual students within the class and set the date range. So that's very similar to other learning management systems. And then, like I said, the announcements area I already mentioned. This, you can go here and see any alerts or announcements. I haven't put very many in for this class, just because I didn't figure I needed to put a whole lot of them in there so you guys would get the idea. But basically, here's where I put in weekly alerts and telling them this is what you should be working on this week. Any changes to the course, any problems, like if the LMS goes down for a certain period of time, either I or the ed tech people at the college will post alerts in here that the students can see. So that sort of thing. And then the calculator, that's just a nice little calculator to have. So that's kind of the overview. So again, for the most part, you're going to want to go into the lessons area and just look through all these different standards. And just to wrap up, I'll just say thank you for helping me get organized and helping me become a better online instructor. Thanks for your help.